So, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another video on our channel Cricket Blitz. And guys, as you all know, Champions Trophy is back. Yes, after a wait of 8 long years, the last edition being in 2017, Champions Trophy is finally back. And we are back yet again with an analysis. And by the way, this is the first video of this series, and we are going to analyze all the teams, starting with England. And let me just first give you a brief introduction about the Champions Trophy 2025, that is this year's edition. Well, first of all, the hosts, Pakistan and UAE, jointly hosting. You all know after that debacle of India not going there and here and there and all sorts of issues. The tournament is going to be held from the 19th of February this year to 9th of March. Of course, the format being in the ODI format, that is a 50 over format. And so, yes, I think let's get started. I will be taking care of the analysis from the batters and from the wicketkeepers' point of view, while Saptarshi will guide you regarding the bowlers as well as the all-rounders. Okay, so let's start with the batters. So when it comes to the batters, there are three prominent names in this squad, namely Harry Brook, Ben Duckett, and Joe Root. And I'm going to analyze the batters first, as mentioned. So coming to, yes, Joe Root is back when I said that name. And a big blow for England, if I am to say that Ben Stokes is missing the Champions Trophy. And that's a huge shock for me. We all know Ben Stokes, the man of ICC tournaments, the man of knockouts. So Joe Root is back, and Joe Root brings with him a fair share, not a fair share actually, a big share of experience with 171 ODIs and with a batting average of close to 48. So Joe Root is that man who can anchor the innings for the English side and help his team chase long totals, chase big totals, and over a long span of time. You know, I'm talking about batting, let's say 20, 25 overs or even more. He's that guy who can stay at one end and, I mean, guide the team
Yeah,
through the run chase. Yeah, so
and
that's about Joe Root,
particularly
guys.
in
Yeah,
subcontinent
Saptarshi.
conditions, his experience will also come handy because he has played a lot of cricket in these conditions. And I mean, his game against spin and on tough pitches will
Yeah,
definitely help England, to be honest. Not to forget that he was the highest run scorer for them in their victorious 2019 World Cup campaign. And not to forget, he can
absolutely.
also contribute with the ball if there's a bit of turn from the pitch.
Yeah, he can definitely roll his arm, that's for sure. Okay, so I mean that was about Joe Root. Now coming to, well, when we talk about playing in Pakistan, I mean, or I can say maybe playing on road. So you definitely need batters who can score at a fast pace. And Ben Duckett and Harry Brook, I mean, these two guys are definitely the must-haves when you're playing on these road pitches. Now, I would like to start with some of the stats for Harry Brook. You know, a wonderful generational talent. I mean, if we talk about the recently held Australia series that took place in September, that was, by the way, a 5-match ODI series, and he scored at an average of 78. Just imagine, and with a strike rate of 128. Also, not to forget that brilliant century he scored versus Australia in that third ODI game. So Harry Brook is definitely a must-have, as I already mentioned. Coming to Ben Duckett, I mean, left-hand batters are always an asset. You know, I mean, it always puts that additional burden on the bowling side. I mean, the field placement needs to be changed. The bowlers need to, I mean, alter their line and length. So that definitely creates a problem for the bowling side. And if I talk about Ben Duckett in the same series, that is the series that was conducted versus Australia, he scored at an average of 61
Yeah.
and with a very healthy strike rate of 110. And once again, he, just like Brooks, scored a century. That was in the last ODI game. That's the fifth ODI. So,
Yeah,
guys,
and
that was about, yeah, Saptarshi, please add. Yeah,
yeah, so I mean, Harry Brook particularly remember that last ODI. I mean, definitely scored 100 in the third one, but the last ODI, I think it was in Bristol, and the way he manhandled Adam Zampa, I think Zampa went for some 40 odd runs in his first 3 overs. He just kept on
yeah,
hitting Zampa for sixes for fun, absolute mockery of Zampa. And Ben Duckett, I think his game is pretty much suited to the ODI format because in Test only, he doesn't like to leave a lot of balls. He always tries playing
yeah,
shots in Test only. When he scores 100, it's usually at a very healthy strike rate. And in ODI, it's a mixture of that discipline in Test and a bit of aggression and flamboyance, which is very much present in Ben Duckett's game. So I think this is a format which will really suit him. Also, not to forget that he brings in that left-handed advantage in case there, and he plays spin very well. Not to forget, so
yeah,
his Pakistan record is also very good. Even if we see the last Test series in Pakistan, he played very well. can play both the sweeps to great effect, has a wide repertoire of sweep shots from playing it to deep fine leg to mid wicket. He can play the sweep all over the park as well as the reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brook and Ben Duckett, these two guys, we all know. I mean, these are some great. I mean, when I say great, I mean considering the way they have played so far. I mean, these are two really good batters, especially in Test cricket. And Ben Duckett, also apart from that 100 in the fifth game, he also got very near to scoring 100. He scored that 95, if you remember. So yeah, Ben Duckett looks to be in great touch. So that was about the batters, guys. And now I would like to go to Saptarshi to discuss about the all-rounders. Yes, Saptarshi.
Yeah, so I mean, this English team, if you see from the time Morgan took over the captaincy, they've always relied on having a great deal of batting depth. And to have that, you definitely need to invest a lot in all rounders, and they've done the same. So the first all-rounder name I will take is Liam Livingstone. Everyone knows his prowess in T20 cricket. He's an absolute beast. On his day, he can hit sixes for fun. He can hit sixes in every stadium across the world, and he's very good with the ball also because he can bowl both types of spin. He can bowl the off spinners
Yeah.
to the left-handed batters, and then once he comes in front of the right-handers, he can bowl a bit of leg spin to turn it away from the right-handers. So there's Livingstone, but there's always been an air of uncertainty about his game in the ODI format, the 50 over format. Does he have enough temperament to survive in the 50 over format? But he put an end to all those doubts in the last couple of series. So if we just have a look at his numbers on the last couple of series,
Yeah,
first was
some
that
good
Australia series.
centuries that he scored. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saptarshi.
If that Australia series, which was at his at home in England, so he averaged 36, but his strike rate was a humongous 161. Man, I mean
Oh,
161 in ODI. And if you have watched that fourth ODI, I think
that's a
it was a
pretty good T20 strike rate. I must say that's a
yeah.
pretty good T20 strike rate.
Yeah, surely. And if you have watched the fourth ODI, I think it was most likely at Lords. Pardon me if I'm not correct. But in that match, he just took Stark apart in the last over, hitting him for four
Mm,
sixes, I think. And he, I mean, hit a massive knock. It was a massive knock. Stark just looked clueless in front of him. The way he took apart all the Aussie bowlers. And I think it was a rain-cutted game, 38 or 40 over game. And the way he just manhandled the Aussie bowlers, I mean, it just spoke volumes. Cut short to the series in West Indies, and he was again good. This time he was the leader of the side also, since none of Josh Butler or Harry Brook was playing. And this time he averaged 89 at a strike rate of 120. And again, that second game I remember, England were chasing a massive target, some 300 odd, and they lost a couple of wickets early on. He came in, and this time he showed the matured side of his game. He showed admirable patience, build the innings, and once he came close to the target, 10 overs left, then he just switched on his T20 mode and went bang, 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 bang. Also, not to forget, Ian Bishop mentioning he had developed an offside version of his game. Previously, he just tried to slog everything onto the leg side. Now he's equally
mm.
strong on the offside, hitting sixes over extra over cover, and that's another facet of his game that he's developed over the last 1 year or so. So I think definitely, and then he can offer with the ball on subcontinent pitches, particularly if they play the knockouts in Dubai. So they will need that bowling of him also. So I think he's a
Yeah,
very handy package. Apart from Livingstone, they have got a couple of other all-rounders who maybe not that much experience but bring a great deal of talent. There's Jacob Bethel. I mean, this kid has made a lot of name over the last 1 year or so. Has got an IPL contract also. He also played in the Australia series. Didn't get a
yeah,
lot of runs, but we have seen his talent. I mean, sparks of his talent in the T20 against Australia. Then he played a couple of tests against New Zealand. So there is a lot of talent in that kid, and maybe he will get a game or so. We will finally let you know the playing 11 by the end of the video. There's Braden Curse also. He's also not played a lot of ODIs, but I remember him bowling a couple of good spells in the Australia series. There's Jamie Overton. Now, Jamie Overton is someone who can whack the ball very hard in the end overs. I mean, he can bowl that heavy ball, bowl a few overs in the middle. But I think England just picked him in place of Sam Curran because of his batting talent. And I mean, he hasn't played a lot of ODIs, to be honest. If you see it that way, he hasn't played a lot of ODIs, but he's doing very well in the BBL also at this point. If you check his numbers in the recent BBL, I mean, he's hitting them at a strike rate of 147, which is massive. And he's also having a
yeah.
bowling average of 30 odd. So I think that's a very good mixture of the all-rounders. And apart from that, there's another all-rounder there who is Gus Atkinson. I mean, he's also played quite a few tests. He's shown in the test arena for England, but not that much in the ODI side. So I think England have a very good
Yeah, I
mixture
mean,
of
when you talk about
experience
Gus
and
Atkinson, that reminds me. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. When you talk about Gus Atkinson, that reminds me of that match where Jimmy Anderson decided to hang up his boots. I mean, what a spell that was! Oh man, he just looked a different bowler, and it almost sort of showed the transition. I mean, the senior guy passing on the baton to a debutant. So yeah, Gus
yeah,
Atkinson definitely has a lot to offer.
yeah. So there's a couple of all-rounders who haven't played a lot of white ball cricket, but I think they surely have the talent. So waiting to see whom they play and how they form the 11. So now moving to Ritik for the wicketkeeper section.
Yeah. So coming to the third section, that is the wicketkeeper section. So yeah, when we look at the squad, I mean the 15-member squad, and the wicket keepers, I mean that sort of seems to me to be a pain point. And why I'm saying that, the reason being that it's fairly inexperienced. Because when we look at the wicketkeeper options, I mean we have three options, namely Butler, Salt, and Jamie Smith. Now, apart from Butler, I mean, who has played so many games and is such a great, I mean, white ball player for the English side. Phil Salt, if I talk about only 27 matches, Jamie Smith only 7 matches. So, I mean, you can think that, I mean, this is not some. I mean, not a wicketkeeper set of wicket keepers that a team would like to have, considering a tournament, an ICC tournament of the stature of Champions Trophy. So from that angle, I would say it looks to me a bit weak. But again, ODI and T20s, we all know that this is a
Yeah,
dynamic format. This is not something like Test cricket. So you always want fresh blood. You want some new set of players that always brings, I mean, some fresh air into the team. Now coming to so yes, I will start with Jamie Smith, followed by Salt, followed by Butler. So yeah, Jamie Smith. I mean, we all know this guy looked so impressive in Test cricket, man. The way he was, I mean, coming down the ground, hitting the spinners. I mean, I sort of loved his game, especially against spin. Not something that you see very often with England batters. So yeah. Jamie Smith, I mean, not much to talk about apart from that 49 he got in that second game against Australia. He looked good, by the way, but still, a lot will be tested. I mean, he will definitely be tested in the Champions Trophy. Coming to Phil Salt now. If I talk about Phil Salt, this guy actually impressed me, especially in that series versus West Indies. And if I talk about his scores, by the way, he got 250s in those 3 matches. That was in the second, for instance, the in the second ODI game, he got a 59 versus West Indies. Then there was this 74. So yeah, this guy can definitely chip in with some good knocks, as it seems. And overall, he has a decent average, I would say, close to 35. But yeah, I mean, 27 matches, you definitely need to give him more matches, and he will
yeah.
definitely
Also,
like to improve. Yeah, Saptashi.
yeah, so I think maybe Jamie Smith may not get straight away a chance in the 11, but I think Phil Salt's inclusion. I mean, there was always a confusion between Phil Salt and Jax. I also thought they might have
Yeah,
picked Jax. He was also playing a few ODIs, but I think it all came down to Phil Salt because maybe like they did in the last T20 series in West Indies, they might also consider relieving Butler of the wicket-keeping duties because I mean he's
yeah.
already captaining the side. He's also a bit aged at this point of time, and maybe they will like to take his career lightly at this stage and let him bat freely down the order, play the natural Butler sort of innings, and let Phil Salt do the wicket-keeping duties as they were doing in the T20 series. So I think that was the thing which went in favor of Phil Salt, if I put it in that way.
Yeah, rightly said. In fact, I also, I mean, maybe I can say that there was always this 50-50. And in fact, if I talk about Will Jacks, he looked actually good in the last two ODI series, that is versus West Indies and versus Australia. So I definitely thought that Will Jacks also had, I mean, pretty good chances of making his way into the squad. But anyway, we have to decide, I mean, discuss the squad as it is. So yes, coming to the final player in this wicketkeeper section, Josh Butler. Josh the boss, yes. I mean, wonderful ODI player, wonderful T20 player, you all know, and he brings with him a lot of experience. When I say a lot of experience, 180 plus games. I mean, considering that ODI format is slowly getting obsolete, I mean, 181 games is a lot, a hell lot, man, and pretty decent average, I would say, close to 40. And but the only thing that makes me a bit concerned is that I didn't see Josh Butler very recently playing in the ODI format. I mean, if I talk about the last game that he played, that was way back in December 2023. So I mean, more than a year has passed, and
Yeah.
of course, with these guys, you always know that a good game, and these guys can definitely, come
Yeah,
back to their form. Yeah,
injuries have definitely hampered. I mean, he's missed a couple of series against Australia, against West Indies due to those injuries. But yeah, let's see how he comes back.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to, how he plays. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think we are done with the wicketkeeper section. Going back to Saptarshi for the final section, the bowlers. Yes, Saptarshi.
Yeah. So the guys who actually maybe winning the tournaments, and with that we would like to end the video. So yeah, definitely they've picked 4 specialist bowlers, and I mean I would like to keep the specialist name for the end. So I would start with Saqib Mahmood again. I mean he's a pretty inexperienced guy. Has played in patches for England, if I remember. Not a great deal of experience in the international level, but I think maybe they have picked him on talent. Then there's Mark Wood. So Mark Wood was excellent in that 2022 T20 World Cup in Australia, but when he came to India for the 2023 ODI World Cup, I mean he just looked devoid of plans, and he was smacked badly in quite a few games. If I particularly remember that South Africa game at Wankhede, where Henry Klaasen just took apart that English bowling attack. I mean Mark Wood looked absolutely clueless, and I think also his style of bowling is pretty much suited to the Australian decks, where he can get that extra bounce and the pace also helps. So waiting to see how he adapts. Also, he's coming back from an injury. If you remember, he got injured in that West Indies, or Sri Lanka series. I exactly don't remember, but he got injured during that home summer, and he's coming back from an injury layoff. So that's also left to be seen. Then there's Adil Rashid. I mean, this guy needs no introduction. He's been England's best white ball spinner for the last decade now, and
Absolutely.
I mean he's also England's third highest wicket taker in ODI cricket, and he's an absolute match winner. I mean, on his day, he can be lethal. He can bowl very well. Also, I mean, he can offer a bit with the bat. If you remember, in 2015, he used to bat at number 8 in a couple of games against New Zealand. He scored a 60 odd also. So he has that ability with the below as well, not just with the ball. And he's a complete package. And then the last name, I mean, Jofra Archer, the name which emerged around the 2019 World Cup time. And I mean, what a force he was at that point of time. First, the 2019 ODI World Cup, then the subsequent Ashes. And he was absolute force. But then injuries came in his way, and I mean, he just kept on missing game after game. He came back in that last T20 World Cup, was decent, I would say, not the earlier Jofra, although, but since then again he's not played every series owing to injury. Yeah, there has been some good spells from him. If I remember that fourth ODI versus Australia, he bowled a couple of great balls, I think, to Mitch Marsh and another guy I exactly don't remember, but he bowled a couple of great spells. And now he's coming back to the city. So Jofra Archer is someone whose fitness England would be a bit cared of. And if he comes good, I mean, definitely it will help England. So the bowling, to be honest, on paper doesn't look really great, I would say. Has a bit of lack of experience, if I put it in that way. But then again, let's see how they go forward and put it. So at the end, we would like to complete with the playing 11. So if I try to put the playing 11 together, I mean, I'm not sure if England will start with this 11 in their tournament opener, but we have tried to put forward the best playing 11, and it would start with Philip Salt opening with Ben Duckett at the top of the order. I mean, two aggressive openers, wicket-keeper batters, and they will set the tone. Then Joe Root at number 3 to anchor the innings. Then comes the young talk Harry Brook. Then, I mean, the best English white ball batter, Josh Butler. Then Liam Livingstone comes at number 6. Now there can be an air of doubt whether they play Jacob Bethel. I think they will start with Jacob Bethel at number 7, which gives them also a spinning option. And then number 8, Jofra Archer. Number 9, maybe Mark Wood. And then Braden Curse and Adil Rashid. Now they have an option. They can play Jamie Smith in place of Jacob Bethel, but that will reduce one bowling option. They have also, if they need another extra pacer, they can also play someone like a Jamie Overton, whom I spoke of a bit before, and he can also bat at number 7 or 8. And I think it's a pretty balanced side, although there are definitely loopholes, as Ritik said. I also said in the bowling department, maybe a couple of inexperienced players who are playing at such a big stage for the first time. And so let's hope how they will do. That's it from us today. So we will come back with the other teams also.
Yes.
And I think, yeah,
Yes, so that's it, guys, as Saptarshi mentioned. And if you like our videos, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing our videos and channel. And till then, until next time, goodbye and cheers.
yeah, cheers.